Good afternoon, Representative.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your distinguished work, Chairman Adolph, Chairman Markosik, and committee members. I know it's been an endurance contest. Thank you. You always look attentive and fresh, and I commend the work that you do on appropriations. I was driving in today after a visit to the dentist office, and I called my mother. And so my testimony would probably be a little bit unique with respect to several issues that I want to raise. I asked my mother a question with regard to something I read about in the newspaper that I received a constituent note regarding. This was gastric bypass surgery, and it was paid for with Medicaid dollars. This individual here in this newspaper story in the Reading Eagle received a $25,000 procedure at taxpayer expense. The copay was $6. At this particular clinic where she received the surgery, there were 61 other commensurate surgeries under Medicaid this past year. My mother characterized this, and I can't do any better than that, as ridiculous. When I looked at 2010, I looked at our Medicaid expenditures, over $5 billion in the Commonwealth and over $12 billion of federal dollars, approximately $18 billion worth of expense. And I look around the Commonwealth and I see deteriorating infrastructure, I see bridges that need assistance, I see highways that need paving. And it occurs to me that an individual like this, who no doubt the Commonwealth is overfeeding at some level, then we turn around and pay for a bariatric surgery for the same individual. Now, this may seem like an impolite subject before the committee, but it was a matter of public record in the local newspaper, and I had a constituent say to me, I am sending you this news story, and I believe it represents excessive spending by Medicaid. I control my weight by eating less, and tells a little bit about their story there. I think we need to take a hard look at our budget, how we spend state dollars, and how we allocate our scarce resources. I carry this around in my pocket, so it's a little bit folded up. It says, our taxes are causing us to sell our home since I, or we, in the case of a couple, only have enough for one more year in the home we raised our 5 children and all our grandchildren who come home for the holidays. I think this is an issue that's a matter of right and wrong, keeping seniors, especially in their homes, and families in their homes. We've wrestled with this issue of property tax, and while I was on the phone with my mother, I asked her about her own property tax because of the reassessment that's occurring in Philadelphia. She can barely make it. Now, that falls to us. That's part of our responsibility. But I got a text message from my brother last night that she was considering selling her home. This is not something that's happening to somebody out there in the hinterland. It's happening to our mothers and our grandmothers and our colleagues. And I can pay my property taxes, and I can pay additional taxes when it comes to Medicaid. But there's a group of people out there that cannot. And this infrastructure is crying out for immediate attention. I couldn't disagree with anything my colleague from Schuylkill County said with regard to the liquor stores. If they're sold, and that happens, then I can't think of a better place for those dollars to go than roads and bridges. Lastly, this is in the opinion section of the Reading Eagle, and it refers to community college. I do not have a community college in my district, but Reading Area Community College is close by. In the Commonwealth, we have 14 community colleges. We've got about a dozen branches and 122 instructional sites in 44 counties. It's all over the Commonwealth. The city of Reading has 13 failing schools, if you will, that are eligible for Opportunity Scholarship. That's out of 20 schools. Our community college, and I say our community college in a generic sense, is a backstop for the Reading School District. If we dismiss our community colleges in an urban core where students can walk to class, they don't even need traditional transportation, then I think we neglect this educational institution to our own peril. The editorial says these community colleges are more critical than ever and require at least a modest increase, and I would not disagree with that assertion. I started at a community college and got several degrees in between my last trip to a community college where I was doing con ed work, an emergency medical technician license. So I would like to advocate for three things here. Sell the liquor stores, use that money for infrastructure, take a harder look at property tax from the perspective of people out there that are being dismissed from their own homes. And it doesn't get less expensive for those people, and it doesn't get less expensive for the state. It gets more expensive for the state. I'm on the Aging Committee. We try to find ways to keep people in their homes, to save precious dollars. Met with the secretaries of various committees at each level. If you look at the wastefulness that we are incurring, education, the Aging Committee and others, because people are not in a stable environment. And students learn best when they're anchored in the community, anchored in their homes, and not bouncing as transients from one educational institution to another and one teacher to another. We've got a moral responsibility to protect life and to protect property in this Commonwealth, and I hope corporately we can all do a better job at it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee.